Yo, can you hear me now? All right, we got volume now. What about now? Y'all hear me now? Yeah, I'm rocking out to some Jonathan Nelson.
Come on, everybody say it. My name is Victory. My name is Victory. Y'all got it all over the building. Now clap your hands and say it with us. Everybody say it.
Sounds good now, yeah?
My name is Victory.
Yeah, the song's dope. I gotta just rock this out for a little bit, you know? Just about when I'm supposed to go live, stuff starts to go haywire. Let me just copy something real quick. All right. So yeah, just as I was supposed to go live, I was gonna stream from my camcorder, and then stuff just wasn't working. So I'm streaming now from my laptop, and yeah. So how's everybody doing today? Where you living? Man, I live in Portland, Maine. You in Florida yet? No, I'm not in Florida yet. The Florida move's gonna happen next year. We got anybody from Massachusetts online? My neighbors. All right, awesome. Toby says it's good quality. That's great, man. Sweden, welcome in the house. Glad to see everybody online. Little piece of love. Where in Florida you at? St. Lucia, big up my Caribbean folks. Yes. St. Lucia, New Orleans, South Africa, Johannesburg, Kenya, Jamaica. Who that? Marsha right from Jamaica, the land of my birth. Where you from, Marsha, in Jamaica? Illinois. This is great. London and Scotland. Christine, did you know I'm Scottish? My great-grandfather is from Scotland. Alberta, Canada. Nice. Tanzania, such amazing places, man. I'm hoping to visit all these places at some point. Indonesia, Baltimore, Amsterdam, Zimbabwe, Washington, D.C., Portland. Marsha, you from Portland? You know I'm from St. Thomas, yeah? So me next door to you, man. Portland and St. Thomas. Yeah, man, I straight from St. Thomas, yeah? Argentina. Y'all can buy me a plane ticket so I can visit all these beautiful places? The UK. Hey, so I want to thank all of you as always for following the channel, you know, commenting, watching. You guys have no idea how much this means to me. Because I remember when I started out on YouTube about 2014, 2015, and I started recording a few tutorials, and it was just like crickets. No comments, no views, no shares. My wife calling right here. Hey, babe.
Are you busy?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of live stream right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, nothing.
Okay. Sorry about that. When the wife calls, you try to answer, especially when the wife is 7.5 months pregnant. Italy, Netherlands. So, anyways, when I just started out on YouTube, it was crickets. No viewers, no followers, no subscribers. And it took me a good year of just creating videos. And so people slowly start to learn about me, and they would watch the videos and they would share it, and they would tell their friends and all of that stuff. And so I just want to let you guys know that you are appreciated. You are very much appreciated. I love the fact that you guys rally around and support the channel. And I'm glad that I'm able to change your life and just share the things that I have accumulated over the year, all the information, Zion, big up yourself from Cameroon, Kentucky. Congrats. Thank you. Yes, our baby is due in July. So starting in July, I won't be getting much sleep. So I might be coming out. You might be see me posting videos, and my eyes look like I haven't slept in days. So what I want to talk to you guys today about is mindset. On this channel, we talk a lot about theory, and, we get down into the nitty gritty about passing chords and scales and licks and run, just all the mechanics of how to put music together. But a huge component that is often overlooked is the mindset. And I want to say it's really around 6, 7, 8 years ago, I kind of got into the mindset thing. I didn't know mindset was a thing before that, but once I got into it, I started realizing that, oh my Lord, a lot of the things we go through, a lot of the struggles we endure on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis, it's not so much our circumstances, but it's the stories we tell ourselves over and over and over again, to the point where we just believe it. We just can't see any other way to do things. And let me talk a little bit about what I meant. When I was in high school, right through my high school years, I had zero intention of going to college. I had no intention of going to college. Why? Because I didn't think I was smart enough for college. That was it. Somehow along the years, as a kid, I just put it in my brain that smart people go to college. I wasn't one of them, so I'm not even going to put that on my list. I was an average student in class. I wasn't bad, but I was by no means that good either. And part of it's because I never studied. My dad dropped out of school when he was like 14 years old. My dad only went to school till he was about 14. And then he had to go get a job. We're talking about in the country of Jamaica, rural Jamaica. Most people at that time in those sections of the country, if you get to go to high school, you're fortunate. My dad dropped out at like the 7th grade, or, a freshman, as you'd put it, in high school. And he went to go work in warehouses and factories because he needed money. And my grandparents just didn't have much. My grandfather worked with the cane industry as a farmer for years until he retired. So my dad didn't have much education in terms of formal book skills. He's very smart and street smart, because fast forward now, my dad runs a juice factory in Jamaica. He started his own business and he grew it from the ground up. And that's how he was able to take care of 4 kids. Me, my 2 sisters, my brother. Our mom passed away when I was 8, so we never knew a stepmom. My dad hustled, and he tried to send us to school. And because he wasn't that book smart, he couldn't really help us once we got to 11, 12 years old and start to do that type of schooling. It couldn't really help. So we just sort of just skate by doing the bare minimum. And obviously we got the bare minimum book grades. And so we didn't think we were smart enough. And so I told myself the college thing was never going to happen because I don't have the brains to withstand college. I'm not going to be able to survive college. So what's going on here? Much love, my brother. So for freshman, junior, just right through high school, never had college on my mind. And because I told myself for God knows how many years that I wasn't smart enough to attend college, I never put in the work. Once I got into music, my soul was lit on fire. I found something that not only I resonate with, but it grabbed my soul, man. Music, I can't even explain it, what music did for me. And so I started just dabbling at the keyboard, and I would try to look over people's shoulders to see what was going on. I mean, I was super interested. I would have run to the ends of the earth if I had to, just to learn music. That's how interested I was. And then the thought came to me, you should go to music school. And, obviously I was scared because I was like, Jesus, I can't handle college. But one thing though, the music thing for me clicked, like I got it. I understood it. I couldn't really hear chords yet. I couldn't sing in harmony yet. I knew nothing about music theory, but somehow when someone explained something to me, it made sense. And I would feel all these emotions and I would hear all these sounds in my head. Couldn't tell what they were. Didn't know what they were. But it made sense to me. And that's when I decided, I'm going to try this music school thing. What do I have to lose? It's not like I have anything else planned. Because I had no plan for my future. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. But at that point, all I knew, we're talking about 17, 18 years old. At that point, I knew music. I got to learn music. Something was calling me that I couldn't understand. It was pulling me in. I went to music school, and I was one of the worst pianists. Because I didn't know anything. I was a beginner. And there were guys coming in the same year as I am, who already have 5 years experience, 10 years experience. Some of these guys were the music directors at their church. I mean, they were crushing. And I could only play 2 songs at that point in the key of C, only using triads. Now we're talking about 2003, the year 2003 I'm talking about, not that long ago. But because I had the zeal, nothing was going to stop me from learning this music thing. I had the humility. I knew that I didn't know anything, and I was willing to learn from anybody who would teach me something. In 4 years' time, I graduated as the valedictorian, the top of my class. I got A's in everything. And that's how I got the scholarship to come to Maine, United States. That's how I ended up here. And I ended up getting married, and I'm sticking around, and I ended up starting a YouTube channel. And I spent 4 years in college here, graduated with honors. And why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this because it was a mindset shift that I had. Once I got into the music thing, I realized that if I want to learn this thing, I'm going to have to go to where it's taught. I'm going to have to follow the people who are good at this thing, and I'm going to have to sit at their feet, and they're going to have to learn. And during that learning process, I get to realize that I have to stop telling myself that I can't do this, or I'm not smart enough. All these limiting beliefs that I've been telling myself for years because of my surrounding, what I saw people doing. No one else was excelling at this. I just thought, well, who am I to excel at this? I had a bunch of limiting beliefs. And once I was able to switch the script, flip the script, and start telling myself that, shoot, I can do this. I was also fortunate enough to be blessed with teachers who spoke positively into my life. They keep telling me, you can do this. They keep telling me, if you work hard. They keep telling me about, discipline and time, how I use my time. And, I had to become a new person. And I get a lot of emails from you guys. A lot of YouTube questions, a lot of Facebook messages and Instagram messages. And I see 4 limiting beliefs that surfaces a lot. 4 beliefs that I struggled with for years. And I'm seeing them in the messages I get. And it doesn't matter how much theory you learn or how much theory is out there and all the stuff about technique and passing chords and runs and licks. Like, none of that matters until we first work with up here. Once you learn how to change the way you see the world, the things you believe about the world, the things you believe about yourself, then you can begin to apply the theory and the technique. But if you have limiting beliefs that you can't do this thing, what do you think is going to happen? You can't do it. Remember, the Bible says, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can what? You can move a mountain. Just that much faith you need to have, and you can do wondrous things. And so I'm trying to encourage some of you today that you might be telling yourself some stuff that's holding you back. But if you try to exercise some faith, some more belief in you, you can go a mighty way. So the first limiting belief we're going to talk about today is, I don't have enough time to practice. That's why I'm not improving. I hear that one so often. I don't have enough time to practice. I don't have enough time to practice. Really. Like, really. We all have 24 hours in a day. None of us have 36 hours or 48 hours. We all have 24 hours. Yes, our life and our circumstances are different. Everybody's life and circumstances are different. At the end of the day, we all have 24 hours. So instead of telling yourself that you don't have enough time to practice and you're never going to have time, tell yourself that I don't have enough time today, but I will have time to practice, and you mark that date. Is it this evening? Is it tomorrow? You mark it. And you have to start physically write down your days. Let me all show you something real quick. All right, I'm back. And I want to show y'all something. Oh, this thing is so big. This thing right here, I don't even know how to set it. Can y'all see this? This thing leans up behind me. This is my content calendar. This is 4 months. This is 4 months that I blocked out of what I do every week. So when you guys say, hey Warren, can you do a tutorial on this? I've already blocked out 4 months. See, we got July, August, October, September. I write that in, because if you don't plan for things, they don't happen. So I plan for when I'm going to record a tutorial, when I'm going to edit it, when I need to do research on a certain subject. So I'm presenting not only accurate materials to you guys, but condense things that really focus on the problem. Put this away. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you just get up every day And there's no plan to practice. There's no plan as to what you're going to work on today or tomorrow, next week. The days and the weeks and the years will pass you by, and you'll be stuck as a beginner. And you're wondering, why am I not improving? I've been playing piano for 3 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years. If you don't plan for something, it don't happen. And so you need a calendar. That's the only way you're going to juggle everything. You know, I'm the music director for my church. I teach piano locally to a bunch of people. I run this YouTube channel. For those of you who are in my paid program on my website, you know all the stuff that goes on over there too. I got stepkids. My wife is currently pregnant with our son. So I'm a husband and I'm a father. How do you think I find time to do all of that? I make time. I plan. You know, if I'm going to go to the movies with my wife this week, we plan for it. You know, like everything I do, it's planned. And I'm not saying I was always like this. Like, I am the most procrastinated student you can ever come across. In college, I was bad at it. I would procrastinate a week out before I start preparing for exams. So this is not something I was born with, this whole structured guy and on point. No, I realized that, man, if I'm gonna get things done, I got to start writing stuff down, and I have to start holding myself accountable. And the more you practice, see, the brain and the body has a way of just changing. The more you practice something, the easier it gets, the better it gets, the more it becomes a part of your routine. So like me now, every Monday is when I shoot a YouTube tutorial. I don't edit my YouTube videos anymore, so I send it to my video editor. She lives in Florida. So every Monday, I shoot a YouTube tutorial. I send it to my video editor. She gets it back to me by Tuesday, and then I upload it for Wednesday. And that's when you guys see it. You know, I make plan and I start to put things into practice. And at first it was hard maintaining that schedule. Like every Monday I gotta have something to record because I need a preparation day. And so sometimes after church on Sundays, that's when I prep for YouTube video shooting for Monday. So I would sit and I go, okay, what do I want to work on this week? And so in my phone, I have a list that I called tutorials to do. And look at this list. A list of just all the different topics. And where do I get this list from? From you guys. Every time someone say, Warren, can you do a tutorial on something like this? I put it in my phone under that list. And look at this list. I think it's going to take me until I'm like probably 90 years old before I get through this list. But it's my inspiration list. And it's all things that you guys send me. And so when I need to shoot a tutorial, I go to this list and I say, all right. And I pick one from the list, you know, and create my sort of flow and my work setup about how I'm going to shoot that tutorial, what are the things I'm going to address and discuss. Shoot that on Monday, get it out to my editor on Tuesday. She gives me back, no, get it out to her like Monday evening. She gets it back to me sometimes Tuesday or early Wednesday morning. So when you say, I don't have enough time to practice, I challenge you to take a step back, take a look at your day, and see where you're slacking off. I guarantee you that you're slacking off. And if you just cut a little bit of that slacking off and invest some of that time to practice, you'll be in a much better place. And after a while, that gets built into your daily and weekly routine. And this is how you see progress. Like music, playing the piano, it's a doing thing. It's not I'm going to sit and binge watch 18 YouTube videos today and then I'm going to be great when I'm playing Sunday morning. No, it's a doing thing. It's a doing thing. And if you find yourself every day just binge watching a bunch of YouTube videos and you're not putting that into practice, then that's a slippery slope you don't want to be on. You want to be practicing more than watching videos. And so you don't have enough time, create time. You are the master of your time. We all have 24 hours in a day. Figure out when's the best time for you. Is it morning before work or before school? Is it, do you work from home and you can slip in a little midday practice? You know, are you homeschooled? I'm talking to people of all ages right now. You know, are you retired? Meaning you don't got a day job no more, so you got more free times on your hand. You know, is it best for you to practice when you come home from work in the night? Is it best for you to do most of your practicing on the weekends? Like, you got to figure out what works for you, and you got to start making it happen. So that's limiting belief number one. I don't have enough time to practice. You do. Straight up. Doesn't matter what age you are, what your circumstances, you know. You got wife and kids or husband and kids. So do I. You know, you're in school, doing a college degree in something else beside music. So did many other people. I know quite a few doctors, people with medical degree, who are crushing it as musicians. So while they were studying about how to cure malaria or, I don't know, brain surgeon, they still found time to work on their musical skills. So there is literally no excuse. You have to make it happen. If it's that important to you, you got to make it happen. Limiting belief number one. Limiting belief number two, and this is the one I sort of started out with, is I'm not smart enough. And I decided to add this one to the list because it was something I struggled with. I didn't think I was smart enough. I still don't think I'm smart enough, but I've learned enough now to realize that people who excel at anything, music, business, sports, electronics, engineer, carpenter, like, doesn't matter what field. People who excel rarely has anything to do with intelligence or IQ. No, it's about discipline and consistency. Those are the people that eventually rise to the top. It has nothing to do with how smart you are, which school you attended, or, you know, what your high school SAT scores were, or whatever it was. None of that really matters. You know, and that's why I see a lot of younger kids nowadays, 18, 19, and I'm going to go off on a tangent now. They're taking out massive amount of student loans to go to college. I know a lot of people are trying to break necks to get into Berklee School of Music because they think going to Berklee School of Music is going to turn them into this great musician. I didn't go to Berklee. And a lot of people have come up to me before and go, "Hey man, did you go to Berklee? You play well." I never even set foot on the Berklee School of Music campus. I don't know where it is. I know it's in Boston, but I've never been there. But I do know it's like $50,000 US a year to attend Berklee. Point I'm making is that the university you go to have nothing to do with your progress or how far you go in life. It literally has nothing to do. I mean, you don't even need to go to college. Some of the best musicians I've come across has never set foot in a music school university before. Never. Those things mean very little in the grand scheme of things. You don't need it. It does help because going to music school, you're surrounded by like-minded folks. You have trained teachers. You got curriculum and courses built to help you excel. But if you don't have that, it will not limit you or preventing you from being a really good musician. Most of y'all probably know Corey Henry, crushing keyboardist. That dude didn't go to no music school. He didn't. You know, he's one of those guys that was born with the gift of music because he's been crushing it on the organ from he's like 5 years old. But he never went to college. And a lot of other great musicians out there, they didn't go to college. And so, if you've been telling yourself that you're not smart enough to learn music, you are smart enough. And it's not about your smarts. If you didn't do well in math, or if you didn't do well in English or social studies, that doesn't mean you can't excel at music. You know why? Because I didn't do good in those subjects. I was not a math genius, or my English is terrible. Straight up. I'm not good with languages. That's why my wife's been trying to teach me Spanish for years, and I'm just like, I can't get it. None of those things will matter. The thing is that nobody told me as a kid was that if I worked hard at it, I would have gotten it. But I just somehow thought it was one of those things, either you get it or you don't get it. And so I never worked hard at anything. And that's why I never really excelled at anything. But then when I got into music and I was so obsessed with this thing, so I worked really hard at it, that's when I got it. So that's limiting belief number 2. Your intelligence has very little to do with how far you go in music. Most of you on this has more than enough intelligence to excel at music already. You just have to believe it, and you just have to what? Work hard on it. So that's limiting beliefs number 2. Limiting belief number 3, what did I write down here? I'm too old to be any good at music at this age. I got some emails from folks saying, brother, I'm too old. Do you think there's any chance for me to excel at this music thing? And my response is always, where there's life, there's hope. The funny thing is, I'm getting emails from people who say, I'm 40 years old. Am I too old? No. A gentleman from the UK emailed me a few months ago. He was 75 years old. 75. Retired guy. He plays the piano for his church. And he was enrolled in my program over at pianolessonwithwarren.com. And he was learning stuff about passing chords. And this gentleman was doing the work. And he would email me whenever he has questions about stuff. And I'm like, I would be so grateful if the Lord blesses me to live to 75. I mean, I'm doing everything in my power trying to eat healthy and exercise so I can live to 75. But there's no guarantee, man. There's no guarantee on life. And so when I see a guy at that age crushing it and still going after it, trying to learn everything he can, at 75, he's trying to correct bad technique and rework stuff. And yet still I got people 30, 40 emailing me saying, yo, is it too late? I think I'm too old enough to do this thing. And this is some encouragement to tell you that no, you're not too late. And so if you're 50 years old and you're just learning major scale, just think about if you put in 3 to 4 days a week of at least an hour a day between ages 50 and 60 years old. Just how much crushing you're going to be. My dad right now is approaching 64 years old. And last Christmas, all right, I'm back, guys. I'm telling you, man, the devil is trying to keep me from preaching today, It just, the streaming just sort of chipped out, saying, hey, we're not receiving any streaming data. It's like, what do you mean you're not receiving any streaming data? So anyway, I just had to restart it. So sorry about that, guys. I don't even remember where I am, man. I was so in the midst of it. What was I talking about? Age, yeah. For the folks that say you're too old to learn piano, you're not too old, yeah? You're not too old. So I just want to leave you with that. You're not too young, and you're definitely not too old. Remember, I started piano in 2003 from scratch. 2019. I started in 2003, and by 2010, I was already an advanced player. 2003, by 2010, I was already an advanced player. I don't know when I made it to advance, because it's not like I can pick a date and go, at this date is when I made it to advance. But I knew by 2010, all the stuff I knew now, I knew then. So I'm just saying, if you put in the work, like you really put in the work, in 5 years, you can make some serious progress, guys. So I'm really just here to tell you that, it's all about the mindset, the things you tell yourself, and the discipline. Yeah? The things you tell yourself and the discipline. And you should be all set. Let's jump to now limiting belief number 4. My circumstances is why I am stuck at a beginner. And this is sort of almost like a summary of everything. My circumstances is why I am stuck as a beginner. And what are those circumstances? One of the biggest ones I hear a lot is from folks that say, my location. I hear folks say, I'm from Nigeria, or from South Africa, I'm from Ghana, or I'm from Barbados, I'm from the Philippines, I'm from India. My location, there's no gospel music over here, or there's no pianist in my church. I'm the only one in my church that plays. Because of my location, I'm not able to advance myself. Remember, I grew up in rural Jamaica. Like, there was nobody crushing it in music when I was a kid growing up. But yet still I learned. And when I was learning, and when I just started out keyboards, and when I was growing up, there was no internet, let alone YouTube, to learn. The only way you learn is either you go read a book, you listen to a recording, and you try to just pick out what you hear, what we call learning through the school of hard knocks, or you go look over someone's shoulder. Nowadays, we got so much information online. And if you're watching this live stream right now, you got everything you need to become a badass musician. You don't need to be living in the United States, because that's one of the things a lot of people go, man, if I was just living in America, I would be able to link up with you and I'd be able to learn. You don't need to live in America. All the information is already online. It's available. Everything you need to learn. Countless online courses. You could just Google stuff and get stuff for free nowadays. So the information is there. Information that wasn't available when I was learning. When I was a kid in high school, like none of this stuff was available. But yet still, people try to find excuses and say, oh, it's because of the town that I live in, or it's because of the church that I attend, or it's because of the country that I live in. No, we're way past that now. The world has become smaller because of internet. And there's so much information sharing going on online for free that you really do have the tools at your fingertip to make it work. It first starts with a mindset shift. Stop telling yourself all that garbage and start replacing that with some more positive things. And the big word that we're going to look at today is consistency. You got to be consistent. So if we jump back to the one where people say, I don't have enough time. I'm not saying you got to be glued to the piano 365 days a year. No. Because there will be times that you probably won't able to practice for a week or two. I mean, what about when you're on vacation? When I was a student in Jamaica in college, studying music, in 2006, I came up on a work program to California to work with a moving company. You know, we move people when they're changing houses and stuff. And I was working 14-hour days. And I was riding like 10 miles to work and back on a bicycle. Because where the storehouse was, where we worked, the office, there was no bus route that went there. And so we didn't have a car. And we had to get to work. So we went to Walmart. We get some like $60 bikes. It was 5 of us Jamaicans. And we rode 10 miles to work. We're talking about California in the summer. where it's like 98 degrees at 9 a.m. in the morning. We would ride 10 miles to work. You get to work, we're already tired. And then we go work for 14 hours, loading up trucks, unloading trucks, driving to all different states. 14 hours, we get back to the office at whenever time we get back, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and we'd cycle back home 10 hours. Sleep, get up, do it again. I didn't touch a piano for 2 months. I also lost like 30 pounds. And I was also ripped because, I was lifting heavy furniture every day. And I had to work because that's how I was going to pay for my tuition. Also, at that time, I had my eyes set on a keyboard. My very first keyboard that I bought, the 88-key Casio Privia. I wanted a keyboard so I could practice. I didn't have a keyboard. You hear what I'm saying? When I started music school, I did not own a keyboard for myself. So when folks email me and say, I want to learn piano, but I don't have a keyboard, I started a school of music without owning a keyboard. That's how determined I was. So that was 2 months that I didn't practice. I didn't have time to practice. I didn't have anything to practice on. And I was working 14-hour days. And the money I made that summer, I bought a keyboard, and that's how I paid for my tuition for that fall. I was hustling, man, because that's how I had to do it. When I came to the United States, and I was going to university here for my second degree in music, you know what I did for a living? Landscaping. I was shoveling snow. I was cutting grass. I was planting flowers. That's how I made enough money to pay for my rent, buy groceries, because I was on a scholarship, but the scholarship only covered my tuition. Didn't cover any living expenses. So I did landscaping for the university because I wasn't even allowed to work off campus because I was an immigrant student, didn't have a work visa. So the only work I could do was on campus. And the only job that was on campus that was conducive to my work, my school schedule, my classes, was landscaping. So when it was 2 degrees out there in February, and it was blizzard, I was out there shoveling snow. In the summer, when it was 100 degrees, I was out there mowing and planting grass, planting trees and stuff. So again, you create time, you create your circumstance, and you work with what you got until you can do better. The last thing I want to talk about for today is when folks say, I don't have enough money. I'm stuck at the beginner, or I'm stuck as an intermediate because I don't got money to buy tutorials. I don't got money to enroll in subscription. Now, I'm not going to speak to anyone's financial situation because that wouldn't be right. I don't know your life. I don't know your situation. But all I'm going to say is take a step back, look in your life, and see, do you have the money to invest in you? Like I said, I wanted to learn music so badly, and I knew that the best place for me to go and learn music was at a college. That was for me. That was a decision I made. I couldn't afford it, but I did every kind of job that was available. Moving company, landscaping. Once I got more advanced in music, then I started to teach piano. So then it was a little bit easier. But in the earlier days, man, I was doing everything. Construction, cement work. I was doing everything I had to do to make the money to invest in my education. It is substantially cheaper to invest in music education online than it is for a one-on-one tutor. And so if you can afford it, invest in you. Right? If you can't afford it, that's all right. I don't want you to go break the bank or use your grocery money to go buy tutorials. No, I want you to eat and take care of yourself. But don't let the fact that you don't have money or you don't have enough money stop you from learning. Again, there are a lot of free resources online. That's one of the reasons I continue to create tutorials on YouTube and I not just put everything on my website behind a paid wall. Because I understand the importance of reciprocation. I want to give to you guys before I go asking, can you give to me? And if you never give to me, that's okay. Because I enjoy doing this thing. When I started YouTube, I have zero intentions of creating a website and selling tutorials and everything. That sort of came later. I started YouTube because it was fun. And I was like, wow, I can get to teach people online in a different location all over the world. That's cool. And so I just started to do that. And then eventually it turned into a business. And as long as the Lord continued to bless me, give me the strength I need, I will be doing YouTube tutorials. But stop telling yourself that you don't have enough money and that's the reason why you're not improving. Money is not what's the problem. It's how much work you're putting in. Again, there's enough information online for you to work with. However, if you can invest, you will get to your destination faster. It's not that there's shortcuts in the paid programs. It's that they're more structured and designed for efficient learning. That doesn't mean you won't have to do the work. You will still have to practice. You will still have to put in the time and do the grunt work. All right? So those are the limiting beliefs I have for you today. You do have enough time to practice, so stop telling yourself you don't have enough time to practice. Get yourself one of them calendar, like what I have, and pencil in everything. Stop telling yourself that you're not smart enough. You are smart enough, right? The people who excel in life have very little to do with intelligence. It has very little to do with the university they attend. It has very little to do whether or not they even attended university. Like I said, my dad dropped out of school at 14 years old. That's it. He never had any more formal education beyond the age of 14. Yet he was able to build a business from the ground up, raise 4 kids on his own. All 4 kids went to college. I've seen a lot of guys that grew up with my dad who are just losers, hanging out on the street, smoking weed, smoking cigarettes, and just drinking all day at the bars and completely waste their life. Then you look at my dad, he decided he was not going to be limited by his circumstances. He grew up in the country with poor parents. He had to get out of school at the age of 14 to go work so they could help his family. But he didn't let that dictate his future. He knew he wanted more than that, and he worked hard to achieve it. You know? So your education is important. But if you don't have it, do not let it limit you. If you're not able to go to college, do not let it limit you to reach your goal, especially your musical goal. Last thing I want to talk about with you is take some time over the next few days and think about why you want to learn this music thing. Because I realized for me, it made a huge difference once I started to figure out why I was working so hard at this. And it's going to change. When I was starting out, the thing that drove me was the fact that I wanted to understand music. I didn't want to have to listen to a piece of music and it sounds beautiful, but not understand what's going on. How they were able to create such beautiful sounds. Those beautiful chords, how they know what fits. Those beautiful lines and runs and licks. I wanted to understand. I wanted to lift up that hood and be able to figure out exactly what's going on. That was my drive for a lot of years. I wanted to understand. Once I understood now how music works, how the pieces fit together, theoretically, technically, orally, once I understood that, then my goals started to shift. I wanted to now create music that would touch people's soul like that. I want to be able to sit and play and really play beautiful music. And so for the next few years, I chased that. And I'm still on that journey. I want to get better. I want to be able to play simple chords, but yet still they sound magical. Have you heard that? Just a simple song, but yet still the way the person play it is beautiful. And that's the level I'm at now. It's like, how can I use all this information and theory and oral skills and technique to just craft mind-blowing music when I play? Now, I've started a YouTube channel. I'm teaching hundreds and thousands of people around the world. My desires and goals have changed a little bit. I want to empower and educate as many gospel musicians as possible. Because I believe the more we can give back to our community through gospel music, the better it is for the community. I sit in church on Sundays and I see in the congregation just how people's lives change every week they come to church. How they feel renewed and rejuvenated to go out to the week. And I go, oh my God, that's what church is. Church is a hospital. You go, you get your shot of inspiration, motivation, It helps to reaffirm your beliefs, your faiths. It gives you strength to go out. And the musician is behind the scene, helping all of that to flow and gel nicely together alongside the pastor. And I realized that, the Lord has given me a powerful position to be up there helping to minister to people like that through music. And I go, what if we could have this experience in every church worldwide? And so for everyone who desire to step up to that plate, I want to help, to motivate, to inspire, to empower, to educate. Through this channel, through my paid program, because I've seen how music changed my life. Sometimes I wonder, if I didn't follow the path of music, where would I have been today? Where would I have been? What would I be doing now? I really feel like, in a lot of ways, I was saved through music. Because we all know, and especially folks grew up in third world countries, and boys, we get into a lot of trouble. And that's how I stayed in church. Music is what kept me in church as a teenager. I just wanted to see what was going on and learn some stuff. I didn't care anything about the pastor or the scriptures. I just wanted to understand the music. And that's what kept me in church. And so I wonder, hadn't it been for music, I probably would have been on the street doing something else. And I would have gotten into all manner of evil and trouble. And, and so to this day and age, music has kept me in church, kept me out of trouble. And imagine if we can provide that for youths of all ages around the world, just a place, something to do, a way to contribute. And I know I'm going off on tangents right now, but I just want you guys to understand my mindset. Why I continue to do this YouTube channel is because my vision has changed. I feel like, okay, what I have experienced in my life over the past 15 years, I would love for others to experience that, just to see the journey that they would go on and the places it would take them and the things it would empower them to do. It's important to learn the theory of music, strengthen your ear, and to learn some technique and all of that. But the fourth one that you cannot forget is the mindset. The road from beginner to advance is a serious journey, and you have to become a different person. The person I was in 2003 when I started music, the belief that I had about music, about myself, about the world, about church, it all changed by the time I became advanced. It had to. I couldn't grow while I was telling myself that I didn't have enough time to practice. I didn't have enough money to invest in my education. I didn't have, my location was a problem because I grew up in rural Jamaica. I had to change my mindset and go, I can become as good on the piano as anyone else can, even though I'm starting later. We all have 24 hours in the day, and we can make it happen. So I'm hoping that this live stream today was helpful and educational, informative, empowering, that it keeps you guys thinking this week and throughout this weekend. How can you begin to change the way you think? Change the way you think, and you'll start to see results in not just music, but in your job, in your school, in your relationships, in everything. There's a lot of negative beliefs, and it's not your fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's kind of the world we live in right now. There's so much stuff that bombards us on a daily basis, so much negativity, and it's hard sometimes to wake up and be positive. And so it's something that you kind of have to reaffirm every day. You gotta have to tell yourself every day, you get up out of bed, that you can do this. The Lord has blessed you. The Lord has called you. And if he has called you, he has plans for you. But you got to make yourself available. You got to make yourself available for him to change the way you think, change the way you operate, so he can put you on your path to accomplish the things that he has in store for you. All right. So before we close out today, I'm here to answer a few questions. I talked about 4 limiting beliefs. What's your limiting beliefs? I would like to hear what others have to say in the chat. What do you think is holding you back? What do you think is your limiting belief? Or what has been a limiting belief that you had to struggle to overcome? I'm just scrolling through the chat right now to see if you guys have any questions before we wrap up another 5 minutes. Richard, you struggling with the timing thing? Feel like you don't have enough time in the day to get to schedule in practice? So Michael, you say the ability to play well by ear, but that's not a limiting belief. It's the fact that you don't know what you don't know yet. Playing by ear takes time, it takes practice, it takes direction. And as we're on that ear thing, my course on ear training to get you to start to hear the way you're supposed to is going to be released on Monday. And I created that course specifically for beginners and intermediate because it's not that the advanced players have a more superior hearing than you. We all have the same hearing. It's just a matter of you weren't taught how to listen. That's it. Let's take a quick example. If we got 2 toddlers, one grew up in the woods and his father taught him how to listen to all the different types of birds, the name of the birds, all the different type of animals, how to identify all the different type of insects. His dad taught him how to do that for 20 years. Now you take a city kid who grew up in the city. His dad didn't teach him nothing about birds and animals. Who do you think is going to be able to just walk into the woods and tell you the name of every bird simply by listening? It's going to be the kid who was taught. And so if you're learning piano on your own, nobody taught you how to listen, what to listen for. how to use deductive reasoning to figure out what's happening. If you was not taught that, then you're not going to know what to do. And so, of course, yes, you're going to struggle to play by ear because you don't know what to listen for. It's all about knowing what to listen for. And this course that's coming out Monday, that's what it teaches you to do. What to listen for and how to listen for it. And then to use the theory knowledge to combine with what you're hearing and figure out what's happening. When someone say, I don't know how to listen to a chord progression and tell what it is. All of that, I show you how to do it. Now, not saying in 2 days, you're going to be able to hear all the stuff and you're going to play like the advanced. No, but now you have a direction as to what to listen for and how to listen for and how to practice that skill so the oral muscle gets stronger. So it's not necessarily a limiting belief. It's just that you weren't taught how to do it yet. Let me go through a few more questions to see what's going on here. Abraham Strang, one of the limiting beliefs is that you're not smart enough. I know, brother. I was there. You are smart enough, man. Trish says, I think laziness is my biggest issue. A lot of us struggle with that, particularly procrastination. It's when you know you got something to do and you be like, I'll do it later. Then that turns into, I'll do it tomorrow. Then that turns into, I'll do it next week. It's a procrastination thing. And a lot of us struggle with that, you know. And so you got to have to kind of joke yourself into snapping out of it, you know. Instead of pushing things back, just don't even think about it. Just do it. Put the keyboard in the play. If you find yourself watching a lot of TV and you're procrastinating, put the keyboard right in front of the TV. Or put the keyboard right beside the couch so that it forces you to see it. Like, you know, you gotta create little tricks and little things to get yourself moving in the direction that you want to do. I find for me, when I write things down, when I plan for it, when I set a reminder in my phone, it's hard for me to ignore. But if I don't write it down, I don't set a reminder, then it's easy for me to procrastinate. So you figure out what works for you and force yourself to do it, you know? See what else is going on here. Yeah, Lil Chris Productions, seeing advanced player playing think you can't ever get there. Brother, man, I understand that. Because when I started music school in Jamaica, I was in an environment with some of the baddest keyboardists in the country. Like, it doesn't get more depressing than that. Just starting out to be placed in an environment where we're talking about seniors, guys who are about to graduate, just off the chain, brilliant, just crushing it. And I thought, how am I supposed to get to that level in 4 years when graduating? But the thing is, I was comparing. His life is not mine. He probably started a decade before he got into college. And that's why he's playing so good. And so the minute I stopped playing the comparison game, you know, that dude's better than me and this dude's better. The minute I start to focus on me and blot out all of that other stuff, that's when I begin to shine. When I was graduating at the top of my class, I still couldn't play as good as some of those guys. But I graduated at the top of my class because the teachers weren't looking at your skill and how well you could play. They were looking at my growth and the discipline I have displayed over the 4-year period. And that's why they thought I was the best fit to get all these awards and everything. Because they understood that the journey doesn't stop when you graduate. It continues. Right now, I can play better than a lot of those guys who were crushing it back then because they thought at the 4 years when they graduate, that's it. They don't need to practice no more. They don't need to keep pushing. They made it. They got a degree in music. That's it. That's all that matters. But I continue to push and push. Even today, I still push. And so my growth continues. Remember, As long as there's life, there's hope. So your growth doesn't stop until you stop. Let's see what else is going on here. My age, I feel like I'm too late to become an advanced player. Brother, how old are you? Because I'm looking at your profile picture and I don't think you passed 30. So how old are you? I have already started comfortable with my minors and majors, okay. Nah, you can still develop dexterity. So this guy's saying because of his late start, he doesn't think he can develop the necessary dexterity to play well. And no, you can. You can. It's just like people who are 45 years old and overweight, and they think, can I get a six pack at 40 years old? Or can I get a six pack at 50 years old? Yes, you can. You might have to work a little bit harder than a 19-year-old to get a six pack, but you can have a six pack at 50, because my dad is 64 and he has a six pack. I lost my six pack a few years ago. I'll regain it at some point. Point I'm trying to make is that you can develop speed and dexterity even at age 50. You can. These muscles still work. Might not be as easy as you want it to be, but it is possible. See what's going on. Yes, Ron Chan. It was Jamaica School of Music, Edna Manley. That's where I went. 2004 to 2008. I was at Edna Manley School of Music. So Stephanie said, I study abroad, so I don't have piano with me. Yeah, if you can buy a keyboard, even if it's just one of those cheap old school Casio or Yamaha keyboard that costs like, I don't know, $50 at this point, you just need something to keep the brain continue going, to learn the shape of the chords, to learn the fingering to the scales. You don't need a fancy keyboard yet. You just need something so you can keep the learning going. Right? All right. So we're going to close out for today. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. I was initially going to talk about ear training today. In fact, I was going to shoot a tutorial that would have been published today on ear training. But, after thinking over the weekend and just reading some of the emails that I get, I decided, let's talk about mindset first, because it doesn't matter how much courses I put out there and tutorials I throw up on YouTube. None of it will matter if the mind is not right, if the belief is not where it's supposed to be, if you're not positioning yourself to excel. If the mind's telling you all kind of negative things, then none of the information is going to matter because you're not going to put it into practice. So that's why I wanted to talk about, limiting beliefs today, particularly the 4 that keeps coming up a lot in the messages I really received. So I really hope this was empowering for you today to go and, just make some changes in your life and start to become the musician you were meant to be. All right. Thank you, all of you, for hanging out with me today. And I will see you next week. Same place, same time for another tutorial. If you're enrolled in my program, ear training course coming out on Monday. If you're not enrolled and you're thinking about enrolling, this would be a reason to enroll into the subscription program about ear training. If you can't hear anything, if you don't know what to listen for and how to listen, then it's going to be exceptionally difficult to make it as a gospel musician, because we do everything by ear. If you're coming from the classical world where you play by notes and you want to learn the stuff by ear, you can learn how to play by ear. You just need the skills to teach you how to listen and what to listen for. So Monday, ear training course coming live. Head over to pianolessonwithwarren.com, sign up for the programs, and check out the courses. But most importantly, take action. You got to put what you learn in practice, and that's how you'll start to make a difference. All right? So until then, keep listening, keep singing, keep practicing. Bye for now.